So tonight we've got an expert real estate investor, Cory Boatright. Cory and I know each other because we actually are, I just recently joined a mastermind called Collective Genius. And Collective Genius is about 130 real estate investors that do 50 plus deals per month or per year,
yeah.
or more. Mm-hmm. Some of them do 400, I heard today. Yeah. So we just wrapped up our meeting. We do 4 meetings a year and we're in San Diego. And Cory was gracious enough to stay a little bit afterwards and do this live Q&A with you guys. And Cory is an OG from Collective Genius. You were one of the original members, right?
Original members.
And how long has it been around?
Almost 10 years.
Okay.
Right at 10 years. Yeah.
So you've been involved with a lot of real estate deals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you tell us about, like, what was your first deal or how did you get into it?
My first deal?
Yeah.
My first deal. I mean, I started out pretty much where many others start out, where you're like a bird dog.
Okay.
And you just go find deals.
Okay.
And then quickly I realized that the deals I was bringing this guy, he was wholesaling them. So then I was like, oh, I got to figure out how to wholesale.
Okay.
So I figured out how to wholesale. And then from there, I figured out who they're wholesaling to, which was the fix and flippers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, they're making more money. So I need to go do a fix and flip thing. So I started a little rehab business. Absolutely hated it. I just couldn't keep a GC sober on the weekends.
Really?
Yeah, it was,
so like what, they were getting
bad.
drunk?
Yeah.
And then they weren't
with
showing
power
up to work?
Alcohol and power tools.
Gotcha.
Just do not mix.
Okay.
And I didn't really have a passion for it either. I kind of did it just from like moving up this kind of hierarchy of what I felt like maturing of investor. And then kind of fast forward in early 2000s, I started noticing that people were paying too much money for their houses.
Okay.
And as we know, the crash really started about 2005. We didn't really start feeling it 2007 or 8. Mm-hmm. And one of my mentors told me that whenever you have a headache, it's fantastic for Tylenol, but sucks for you. Right. So I wanted to be Tylenol to the market. So I started getting involved with short sales.
All right.
And if you're familiar with the short sale, it's just when a bank accepts less than what's owed on debt. Mm-hmm. You know, so example would be someone owes $100,000 to a bank. You make an offer for $50,000 and they actually accept it, even though $100,000 owed to them, they write off that $50K.
So, because somebody didn't pay the bank.
They didn't pay the bank.
And so the bank is just trying to cut their losses, collect money, and then you get a great deal.
You get a great deal, and whoever you sell it to gets a great deal as well.
Okay.
And at that point, there was not a lot of folks that really were doing this. So I found this like little, what I felt like a smaller pond, but with like bigger fish in it. And instead of going to like this bigger pond and just like being like everybody else. And I kind of stumbled my way into doing it. Actually, it's really crazy. So I got involved with short sales. I went really deep into that. I started a loss mitigation company. We started doing negotiations for other investors and made it into like a service, kind of done for you service company, getting paid on approval when we got approval. And then I got into software. So I started a software company and went around selling that. And we got up to almost 5,000 users at any given time. There was 3,000 to 3,500 paid users, $99 a month. It was a pretty serious short sale business. At the time, it took 20, 30 hours to do a short sale. All of a sudden, you could hit a button. It put the whole page, all the pages together that the bank wanted. Okay. In the exact order that they wanted. And we had an API that worked with fax. So working with the 5 major lenders, we just send it off to them. Okay. It was perfect.
All right.
So did that. And then so at the end of 2012, I went through a lot of personal things. And one of the biggest ones was I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So every day I post a reason to, I post a post to be grateful. Wear this bracelet.
It says grateful on it for those of you that can't see it.
Yeah, grateful. I'm a fan of bracelets. These have all meaning to them too. And this really changed my life because like I said, I went through a lot of personal things. I went through a divorce that was really heavy. I went through a big church split that was really heavy. I was serving in a church and the church split. And at the right at the topper on the Sunday was getting diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And praise God, though, now I do not have cancer, so no remission, and that's been 6 years. So, and but it also made me focus on what was really important, and it wasn't just going out there and what I thought it was just to achieve and make a lot of money, which was fun to do, but you have to really start to ask yourself, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And it's a hard question to ask because you have to start being intentional about things. And whenever you're just running and going, I mean, you're just making money, doing deals, flipping deals, but I got back into wholesaling because the short sale game was drying up.
Okay.
And I couldn't go on trips and things that I normally was because I had my operation.
Okay.
So short sale or wholesales has always been the like low hanging fruit. So we now focus on short wholesales, and we do over 100 a year in the greater OKC area. And then I work with several clients on their marketing to see if they can get them good quality leads. And so we work with several folks around the country.
Yes. So you have a lot of experience helping people get leads and turning them into deals.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we're here to help every one of you guys do on this webinar.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that story too. I had no idea that you were a cancer survivor.
Yes, sir.
Like, that is incredibly scary when I think about it. I can't imagine going through something like that.
Yeah, it was.
I'm thankful you're here.
I'm thankful I'm here too. Praise God. It was an eye-opening experience, but I absolutely mean this when I say it. It's probably the best thing that could have happened, because there's things in your life, like the things you go through, sometimes the hardest things can also teach you the best lessons.
Yep.
If you're willing to learn.
Yep.
And not getting spiteful and blame.
Yes.
Other things, right? And so I had to make some changes, and I'm really glad that I was at least able to go why I'm going through this and what do I need to change. So,
can everybody in here? We're going to answer your specific questions. I see a couple people asking for help. Can you type in the comments, like, what is the number one reason why you are interested in doing your next deal, and why it is you're interested in real estate, in wholesaling? I'm curious to see what motivates everyone in here.
Thank you, Elise. Felicie or Elise?
Elise.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. So what are you doing? I do not have a one. I do not have a software business anymore. It's been many, many years since I have done that.
And then Hannah, Chris says, to provide a great life for my wife and 3 wonderful children. And Zach, time with family, tired of the constant money chase, actually live doing things that matter. Love that.
That's great.
If you guys are still typing out your why, please post that in the comments. And then in the meantime, Hannah, I was wondering if you could bring on Caden Jackson. Caden says they're having a tough time in the Miami market. Have you ever done anything in the Miami market?
I don't, but I know some investors out there, and every market's, not just local, it's hyper local, right? So it'd be interesting to see what they're doing that doesn't work.
And then Joe said that Joe never wants to go back to a 9-to-5, which I completely understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Caden, how are you doing?
What's up, Caden?
How you doing? How you doing, gentlemen?
How you doing?
Great.
Thanks for putting this on for us, man. I appreciate it. I think I'm speaking for everybody when I say that. So thank you again. And I'm rooting for you and you staying cancer free. So good luck on that too, for sure.
Appreciate you, bro.
Caden, what's going on? Give us a little background of what you have going on.
Did it freeze?
He did. He froze up a little bit. Let's see if it comes back. It's a bad time for it to freeze.
We can see you, Caden. Just can't hear you.
Can you guys still hear us? Can you type in the comments if you can hear us?
Okay.
Yep. All right.
So it's just, you just froze up. maybe if you like stop that share and then come back on. Yeah.
I think Hannah's taking care of it.
Great.
Thanks, Hannah.
To live a comfortable life, what Jennifer says. Pina? Piha? Pinha?
All right, Caden signed off. I bet he'll be back. And then I was wanting to kind of go a little bit more in depth. I think everybody here probably is here to get unstuck. And so I want to go ahead and bring on somebody else and just let's hear what's going on with them. So Hannah, maybe if you just start with Chris and then just work down the line, and we can kind of do this with everybody. Hey, Chris.
What's happening?
How you doing?
What's up, Chris?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great.
Phenomenal.
Can you turn on your video?
Sure. I'm currently doing another flip that I found through DealMachine. Thank you, David, for that.
Awesome.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. So, but now, I'm trying to ramp up marketing. I'm basically, I have people driving for dollars. I have that list going. And I've started pulling some broader lists, and I started doing some text blasts and RVMs. And then the people that don't respond to those, I'm putting on a list to cold call.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm kind of just making it up as I go along. Not really sure what I'm doing. Just like grabbing pieces and tips from YouTube, and I don't know. But I'm wondering if, one, you think I'm on the right track. Two, what's a normal cost per lead? Yeah, and I guess those are the two most important questions that I have right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So to answer the cost per lead is going to be different per channel. It's not going to be a one size kind of fits all. So you're going to have a different price per lead for texting, for RVM, for whatever. You didn't mention direct mail or no?
I've done some just through the DealMachine, but no, nothing more than that.
Okay.
Okay.
I would
maybe a couple hundred.
Okay.
Postcards,
So I would have a target. It's always good to have some target in mind of what you want to achieve from a financial standpoint, but like also how much time that you're willing to put into this. You said you've been doing this for like a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would get kind of clarity of like, and you may have this if you do great, but often it's just like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get some deals and make some money. And there's no kind of clarity around how much dollars that you're really wanting to hit, and maybe by a date, by when. So there's a great book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. Are you a reader, Chris?
I do audiobooks more than actual reading, but
I do too. I use Audible. It's a great resource.
Yeah, me too.
So you can get this book on there. It's called 4 Disciplines of Execution. And there's a concept in there about basically from X to Y by Z, right? And it gives you clarity of like, I'm going to do direct mail, and I'm going to get to this point, and I'm going to start at this point. So it gives you a starting point, it gives you a target, and also a time frame so you actually get it done. And the time frame also is the accountability too, because
right.
You're going to have everything else you can do throughout when you're doing business. Are you doing this full time or part time?
I'm doing it full time.
Full time. Okay. So time right now is on your side. You have a lot of time to put into it. How much time are you, like when you're doing this, what is your why for starting real estate investing in the first place? Is it just to make some extra dollars, or do you have like a big why you starting this?
I am interested. The reason why I'm doing wholesaling, I chose wholesaling, is so that I can build up a pile of cash.
Yeah.
And get some rentals.
Okay. So
is my goal for that.
That's awesome. I would just encourage you to get clarity. So what does pile of cash really mean? Is that $1 million for you? Is it $100,000 for you? Whatever that number is, it's for you. And I would have that somewhere that's very specific for you. And then rentals, again, very vague, which is very easy to do and very cool that you want rentals, but how many and by when and what kind of cash flow are you expecting those things to pop off? $100, $50, $150, $200, $300, whatever this number is, just to get more clarity. And here's what's cool about this. Once you start going from being just vague, even in the way you say stuff, I'm gonna get some rental, some cash, but when you start getting more clarity around the thing that you're targeting, you actually have a much greater chance of hitting it, right? Versus just, I'm gonna get some cash and get some rentals. So that'd be the first thing that I encourage you just to work on getting some clarity, and it would give you a better chance of actually hitting the target. The other thing is on your leads that you're getting in. So the lead channel is important, but also the cost per deal. So how many deals have you done? Have you done one? How many have you done?
So I've done, so I have, I guess we can call 2 deals.
Okay, cool.
Since I've started taking it seriously, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Was one from DealMachine and one from something else?
Yeah, one was from DealMachine that we're actually flipping. I'm flipping with a partner. And the other one was a referral that I partnered with a real estate agent.
Okay.
I actually just got the check yesterday for that, which is cool.
Very cool. So
Do you think he's doing too much types of things
yeah,
at this point?
get really clear on one channel and master.
I feel like I would really focus in on one thing, either real estate agent stuffs or DealMachine stuffs, and like keep doing what worked.
Yeah. So what did it take to get that deal from DealMachine?
So the deal from DealMachine, I added it to the list. Then I put them on the cold call list. I cold called them. There was no response. I got their email address and I sent an email, and they responded to the email.
Nice.
And then it went from there.
Okay. I would just
I've tried doing some other emails, and I've just it's been pretty frustrating trying to send emails. Like my MailChimp got shut down, and I don't know. So
yeah, from spam or from
so it was too many unsuccessful deliveries or something like that.
Yeah. The good thing about MailChimp, though, if you use MailChimp, it's like you can just start another account.
Start a new one, yeah.
Accounts, yeah.
Yeah.
You still don't want to, obviously have spam with the delivery. You'll get that too much undeliverables. Also, another thing, just to echo with David, is continuing to do more DealMachine and focusing on that and getting the best leads from there. Have you ever tried to message people on Facebook?
I have not.
So it's a really great way to get a hold of people. Even it's free skip tracing, essentially. You can go, and if you find that person, you can go and message them and say, hey, I noticed you had a house for sale. If this is you, let me know. I'd like to make an offer on it. Well, I think you have to just to get clarity on your target. I mean, that's really going to help a lot. And because once you start realizing, like, I have to spend this, I have this much to spend, and then you're like, okay, but I want to make this, and you start getting these calls in, and then you start calculating how many leads come from those calls and how many appointments you're going on from the leads, and then how many contracts are actually closing. When you start getting those numbers dialed in, then it's just a matter of really spending more money on marketing. And so I would just my advice would be get as much clarity as you can on your target.
All right. Well, I thank you guys very much for your advice. And
thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, let's see. Thank you, Chris, for joining us there. And I was curious if Caden wanted to come back. I saw him text that he was back.
There he is.
There you are, Caden. You're muted.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
We're here now.
Yeah, I lost the call before. Yeah. Yeah, I was just telling you guys earlier, it's a tough market to be in, honestly. Like Miami is just really tough. It's funny how I even had to like cross engineer. I skip trace Willie Numbers because he's one of the people in the Miami market to try to see if he could kind of give me a little advice as far as how to get more deals or leads. I haven't closed a deal yet, but the leads are just difficult to come by, especially down here for some reason.
Okay, where are you getting your leads?
DealMachine, honestly, I mean, that's just been like the pinnacle of everything, I feel like. So just trying to get deals through DealMachine and use bandit signs, really.
Okay.
And text blast until I obviously build up some capital, then I can like use the whole gambit of marketing, but that's it right now as far as trying to get leads.
Do you have a question specifically that you would like to maybe have answered?
I think it's more like conversions. Like, so getting the lead and then converting the lead is like where my issue lies, I guess.
Okay.
So that would be more like the question: how do you convert prospect to an actual lead or a motivated seller that wants to sell?
Well, they have to want to sell on their own.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep answering. It's your job to answer. I can't resist.
That's fine. It's your show.
No, you.
So, if anybody has any sense of motivation whatsoever, we don't just lock the deals up on the phone, which a lot of folks do that. Are you wanting to lock the deal up on the phone, or are you wanting to go out and actually meet the owners?
So either way, I mean, personally for me, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
I mean, if I have an opportunity to see the property and lock it up, which I believe is the best method of action, to go and see it. But if the opportunity presents itself to lock it up on the phone,
Sure.
I have boots on the ground that could go see it for me and lock it up on the phone, I'll do it that way. So
Sure.
either way, I'm open to anything.
All right. So whenever this is a big one, and a lot of investors miss this, and even they train their dispositions or their acquisitions team. In my opinion, they're missing this piece. So what we ask is, how can we serve you? Right? Whenever you're talking with this owner, motivated seller, one, you have to determine if they're motivated. They're either going to be motivated because they have their reason why they need to sell. They could have called anybody else, but they called you. You're in touch with them, right? But because they have contacted you, then you basically can say, how can I serve you? What is it that I can do to help you? I mean, most people think that somebody just wants to sell their house. That's actually not the reason of what's like emotional reason why they're calling you. They're calling you because you are a problem solver. I don't like the word problem. You are a challenge. There's a challenge in their life, and there's a pain, and you have to listen to that owner, and they will tell you what it is that they're looking for. And instead of continuing to go back to a number and trying to just buy the house, take a little time and listen to the owner.
So like provide that human element, almost like an empathetic approach towards it. And then you'll find out the reason of why they're trying to talk to you, and then kind of deal with it from that space rather than just be somebody who wants to push a number.
That's correct. And active listening. Do you know what active listening is?
Yeah, actually listening and be able to listen to a person without interrupting them. So.
Well, no, it also is whenever you say something, you repeat it back to that person. So, so Caden, what you're telling me is this and this and this. Is that correct? And the thing is sometimes they'll say no. And you're like, I just heard that. But it's the active listening part really lets them know that you're listening to them. They feel validated, and you'll build a lot more rapport with them that way. Most people don't listen. Yeah. They don't listen to people, and people are starving for someone to listen to them. And once you feel listened to and recognized, you're much more willing to work with someone. The empathy part doesn't come just from, I want to buy your house. The empathy part comes from listening.
How many properties have you added?
I try to, at best, I try to get like 50 a day. So like, in a 7-day span, 250.
How many total properties do you have added in your account?
So some of them I deleted. So, I just recently started. So like 300-400.
Okay.
I fell off a couple of days just because I had to work, but I try to stack up as much as I can.
Okay.
I did the 30-day challenge with Max Maxwell, so I was able to like sift through the zip codes. And so what I ended up doing was I kind of just hit those zip codes, and I go to Barnes and Nobles, and they have like a map atlas where you're able to like see the streets. So I don't essentially like repeat the same streets. And then I use the tracker on DealMachine so that I know for sure I'm not hitting the same streets. And then I kind of just do what I'm told or do what I'm taught, as far as just like look for the property with chip paint, high grass and stuff in the box. Like there's this one in particular, like on the street where I'm at, and this is a definite like distressed property. But what do you do? I have a question. What do you do with the property owners that definitely you could see that that's a distressed property? You can find the person's name, the address, but they are not trying to sell the house. They're rather just keeping it for tax purposes. What do you do with that?
You move on and you keep adding more properties. You
Yeah,
can't force someone to sell. Like they need to want to sell. So that person might want to sell like a year from now. So instead of sending them a postcard every 3 weeks, like bump it up to every 90 days for that person.
I got it. So you can specify like what person in particular?
In DealMachine?
Yeah, like
so if you open up the deal, you can change the resend frequency for that particular deal.
Oh, see, perfect. So I'm gonna just go ahead and kind of cut that off, because that was one of the ones I kept marketing to. But thank you for sure. That'll definitely help me a lot.
I would say if you just did the 30-day challenge, you've added 300 deals. That's a good amount. It's going to take at least a couple more months in order to cycle through a few more follow-ups with them, because a lot of the marketing is about timing too. And they might not want to, their house has been distressed for years. It didn't get distressed overnight. So even though they don't want to sell right now or haven't responded quite yet, they might have like a surgery next month and they can't keep up with mowing the grass. And like they realize they need to sell and move into like a condo or an assisted living place. And they're going to call you because your postcard's in their mailbox. So I hear and like feel the frustration from you, but
no,
it's too early to give up or say it didn't work.
No, I know that this is a game that kind of has to be, played for the long term. So I think I condition my mind coming into it, knowing like my end goal is to essentially buy and hold apartment complexes. And I think this is like the grunt work. So I kind of want this aspect of real estate before I get to the ultimate aspect of where I want to go, which is to buy and hold. So I want this, so I know that it's going to take some time. It might be a little strenuous, but with guys like you guys, as far as you, Lecko, and then you, it's like, okay, I kind of can always like revitalize my drive every time I either see something from you or see something from you. It's like, okay, well, they're doing it and I can do it too. So kind of helps.
It's funny you mentioned that, like we were right before we started, one of the determining factors for someone that's successful, and success really means different things to different people. But one of the thing that is like the constant theme is persistence, is, not giving up too early, and just going at it hard and just knowing that it's going to work no matter what. And like you said, if you see other people, then you get motivated and then you use that motivation to keep going. Most people, Caden, they give up and then they give up. There's a book called 3 Feet from Gold. You should buy it if you haven't already got it. It's like a $5 book.
What's the book?
3 Feet from Gold. So most people they give up right about the point where they're about to hit gold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they would have kept going
3 feet from gold.
3 feet from gold, if they would have kept just digging a little bit more, just 3 feet more after they've done all these tunnels and everything, and they can't find the gold. But if they stopped and then 3 feet more, it would have been the gold. So I just think the persistence is very, very important for success to happen.
Oh no, I'm gonna make it happen. That's what I question.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's what I question. And to have you guys as like staples, that's really trying to help. You know, I'm definitely gonna make sure whatever I'm thinking comes to fruition. So
Get it.
as far as me getting it done, it's definitely gonna happen.
Go get it. It's waiting for you.
Here's how you change the mail settings for a deal, Caden. It's
Yeah, so
you click these options right here, and then actually change every like 90 days for this one piece, and that would apply to just the piece you were editing.
Perfect. Can I ask you a question? Are you doing any like mentoring or any courses at all?
Actually, Cory does some mentoring. I personally don't do any mentoring available, but you're going to tell them about some stuff that you do? Or?
Sure. Yeah. I work with kind of a handful of folks. Application, obviously, only. You can't just take everybody on, but you know, I have a website called Cory's Coaching, CORYS coaching.com. There's a little video on there and a couple questions that kind of find out where you are on as an investor. And ultimately, after you fill out an application, there's a question of whether or not it's going to be a good fit for what you're looking to achieve and also what I have available at the time. So, but I encourage you to go check it out if you like. It's Cory's Coaching.
Sure. For sure. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to look into it. As soon as we get off the live, I'll definitely look into it and make sure. I hope you have some availability because I'm looking to get in. So let's just work to the wise. Just open some availability if you don't have any, because I'd really love to be part of the course.
The persistence is going on. I love it.
Yeah.
You can go download I do have a few books that I've written over the years. One of them is like a quick start guide, and it's free. And you can go download that one. It's
on Amazon.
And yeah,
I'll get Hannah to post a link.
Thanks.
Yeah, can you give me the title?
Yeah, it's the Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide.
All right, the ultimate real estate. All right, got it.
Yeah,
Can you also post a link so I can also?
Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide.
Good. So I'm gonna. All right, perfect. I'm gonna get that too.
Yeah, cool.
She's working on it. Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks,
Caden.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Go get it.
I will.
Get the
See
gold.
you soon.
Go get the gold.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions right now that we can help you answer? Looks like Joe has a question. Joe says, everybody sends postcards in Massachusetts. How can I be different?
One is the size of the postcard. And depending on your list, if you have a niche list, Joe, or a big list, we determine that by 1,000 pieces or less is a niche list, and over 1,000 pieces is a bigger list for a postcard. So you can change up your mail piece. It doesn't just have to be a postcard. You can do a written letter that can give you a different response rate. You can do a bigger size postcard per se, so it stands out. You can also call people and do skip tracing. So you have skip tracing built into DealMachine.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, and if you're driving for dollars, like that is a niche list. You can't buy that list.
Yeah.
So that you're good if you're doing that. The postcards that have a picture of the actual house rather than like Google, definitely also going to help you stand out. That's what I would add to it.
Yeah. And you'll get some people that don't like that, but you just keep mailing.
Yeah. I mean, we do it because an overwhelming, more people like it.
More people like it than not. Yeah.
Alberto says he has 900 buyer emails.
Alberto.
I have my first deal under contract. How do I market to my buyers? MailChimp is not an option anymore. They do not allow real estate campaigns.
Interesting. Well, there's a lot of different email platforms that are out there. Active Campaign is one that a lot of folks use, actually like a CRM built into the email system. So question is, how do I market to my buyers? So here's what's interesting is, all these emails that you get, Alberto, from people saying, I just sold, like you get an email because you're on everybody's list that sends you deals, and then they'll send another email that says sold, right? And in Oklahoma City, this is gold for us, and I'm sure it is for you as well, if you can get onto the county site and see who they sold that property to. So you want to keep track of all your quote competition, and if they send you sold things, because you can start seeing who they are selling their properties to. Not only that, you can actually see the price, if they did a double close, what they bought it for, what they sold it for. Marketing to your buyers. We had a VIP. We do a lot of stuff where we put it on MLS, but marketing to your buyers, you can have a VIP buyer list, meaning that they have bought more than one property from you. And these VIP folks kind of tend to they're busy, and so they just send them a quick text. Really works well for your VIP buyers, and also a phone call to these buyers that are quote your VIP. They will even appreciate you, saying, hey, I got a deal, give you a quick call about it, or taking them out for coffee or whatever. Your VIP buyers are going to be people that buy more than one property from you. So the more that you can figure out a way that you can bring them more properties, so you're adding value, right? They're going to be thinking about you as top of mind. So if you text them, if you call them, then because you have something that they want and you're bringing value to them, they're going to also, be considerate of working with you. So I think text is something you should create a VIP buyers list if you haven't already, and also look at those emails that are coming in from your quote competition.
I would agree. I'm curious where those 900 buyers came from. Are those people that you've met in person, or did you find those laying around, and have they received any emails from you before?
You might have got them on maybe did you get them on social media or maybe? That's a good question. Yeah.
Facebook investor groups. Okay.
Trading list. Trading with other
trading
wholesalers?
lists, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any more advice for that?
Well, you're marketing to these buyers, so obviously you're probably posting on Facebook, right? That's another way that you can market to the same buyers. You got those same buyers, so you can market that way. And did we talk about calling? I don't think we did. Maybe an RVM, depending on where they are. I know in Florida, this is a kind of a not shouldn't do this, but RVMs are still very successful. You just want to make sure that you're compliant on how you use them. So you just want to don't make sure you whatever list that you have, if you're going to RVM, you want to scrub it against the litigator list.
Yeah, and I feel like if you haven't done a deal, the automations all sound sexy, but
be confusing.
I would maybe just call them yourself and try to build a relationship and stand out from all the other people who are sending them emails out of the blue, and they don't even know who this person is, and I feel like you'll come across as a very credible person compared to sending them that email out of the blue potentially if you're just starting out.
Yep. Take them to lunch or coffee, and provide value in their life, and they'll do the same for you.
Let's see. Okay. Aaron Thomas says, do you know a quick way to scrub your DealMachine list against another list? You can export your leads from DealMachine, and if you want to do a list stacking, there's a lot of list stacking tools out there,
right?
Which would basically put your list together, and then it would tell you which leads are on both lists. So that would be how you do that.
Yeah. And you can
do a list stacking tool that you have used.
Property
before?
list stack. There's a property list manager. There's several of them, but you can also, if you're not a tech person, you can go on Fiverr and have somebody scrub your list or work on the data for $5. Yeah.
Jennifer says, if you have a list of abandoned properties, can you enter them in the DealMachine? So yeah, you can enter any property in the DealMachine, even if you're not in front of it. basically what you do is you just start typing in the address and it'll auto complete, and you can add a property in that way. Andrew Wynn says he is a wholesaling newbie. How do I start wholesaling in new markets? So he's got a pretty decently long question. So why don't we bring Andrew on video and we can have a conversation about it.
It's okay, Alberto.
Guys, we got Josh over here too.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
What's your review of what we've been talking about so far?
It's been killer. The one thing I wanted to reiterate earlier that I didn't get a chance to, you cannot sell to people that don't want to buy what you're selling. And especially for people who don't have any sales background, I think that's probably the hardest lesson to learn early on in the sales career, which is what we're doing here as people trying to get properties under contract, whereas we're selling. If people don't want to sell their house, don't waste your time with them. Like, be cordial, maybe build a foundational relationship, but understand that if they are not trying to sell their property, you cannot help them, and that their timing is simply not right for you. And to continue to churn and waste your time in those scenarios is very detrimental to your long-term productivity, because you're going to end up spending 2, 3, 4 hours on a deal that's never been a deal from the beginning. And so I think that's a really big thing that I see thematically a lot of questions when people ask about converting leads, when people call in and say, hey, like, give me your offer on the property and like things like that. It's usually oftentimes it's not a qualified lead because they don't want to sell and they're not ready to sell, which is fine. And like David said earlier, you can't force people to sell. Don't waste your time with those people, because you're going to end up spending a lot of time, and it's taking away. It's the opportunity cost of wasting time on non-qualified leads is the time spent hunting down the qualified leads.
Yeah, and I think too, that's great. I think just to add to that is that there's like motivation levels. Like, someone that needs triage, is different than the person that just got cut. Like a little paper cut. Mm-hmm. So different levels of motivation is
what's triage?
Is important. Like, go to the hospital. Like,
okay, like a very official bandage.
Like, I got shot.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I just think it's important that you are really good at understanding your motivation, and really also understanding the personality traits of your homeowners. Mm-hmm. We go through, like, it's kind of funny. We put like animals to them. So we have the owl, we have the shark, we have the koala, and we have the monkey.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one am I?
You definitely the owl.
Okay. What does that mean?
You're real introspective. And like, if I'm telling you about something, we're going to go through each item.
Yep. Yeah.
Detailed. And so a person that's an owl, you're going to want to like walk through every bit of that contract with them, mm-hmm. as opposed to the monkey. Believe it or not, you would think that that's what the monkey would want, but the monkey just wants you to laugh at his jokes. Okay. And like smile, and like he might not even say, oh yeah, like maybe 50 grand. Like,
he'll never read the contract.
He won't read it. You going through it with him is actually losing rapport with the monkey,
because he doesn't want to be troubled with the details. He just wants the cash.
All the monkey wants to do is have fun, and the way he wants to have fun is just getting what he wants.
Okay.
Yeah. The shark, like maybe like a Donald Trump would feel like a shark, because they either shake your hand with like a dead.
They like to be in charge.
They like to be in charge, but they'll look you straight in the eye. They'll be watching you, and you want to let the shark feel like they won. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my gosh,
absolutely.
you are hard to deal with. Gosh, like you are such a great negotiator. You're a great negotiator.
Yeah.
Are you available for me to hire you? Like, you want to play around with the shark, but you also want to give them crazy amounts of respect, mm-hmm. and let them feel like they win. Mm-hmm. So the koala is like, they usually come to the door in like a nightgown, and flip flops, or what, little like bunny slippers.
Okay.
And they're just going to do whatever they're just going to be like, you just tell me. You can lead the koala, mm-hmm. and they're very emotionally like, they're the emotion for them. They want the feeling for a koala is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting there really listening to the koala is going to take an hour, maybe 2 hours to tell their whole story, everything. Mm-hmm. But if you're real patient and listen, mm-hmm. Which you should be observant of who you're dealing with, then
Yes.
those people are going to respond a different way. Like if I sit and want to listen to a shark,
Yes.
he's going to get right to the point very fast.
I did a deal with a koala one time, and I had sat in her place for like hours, multiple times, because she was just telling me stuff that didn't matter to the deal at all.
Right.
And I just sat and listened. And I actually got fleas from her cat that kept coming by and rubbing on my leg, but it was worth it because I got to listen to everything she said. And then she was ready to do whatever I said.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you just leave the koala
Mm-hmm.
and they love it, you know, but don't do that with the shark.
Where did you get your animal personality system from?
Right. It's based on like the personality, like there's a program for, you know, but I just put animals to make it easy to remember.
It is a lot easier. It's easier than like 4 letters from like one of the personalities.
Right.
Exactly. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Andrew, how are you doing? And can you turn on your video?
I just know you're going to be like,
Shark, monkey,
koala.
Andrew, we can hear you, sir. Can you hear us? There you go.
Oh. Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's up?
Great. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Excellent.
Great.
So I'm totally new to this wholesale thing, right? So I'm only doing YouTube education so far. I tried driving for dollars in California. I live in Anaheim, but California is quite competitive. So I want to dip my feet into other states. I just don't know how to go about it. So I have PropStream. I know how to pull a vacant list. I know how to use list source and pull up popular zip codes within different states. Well, what do I do from there? Do I just start cold calling away, or is there any way to analyze things? Like, I'm completely new, so I don't know what to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wanting to go into another market.
Yep.
That means you're going to need to have boots on the ground. You're going to need to kind of set the foundation before you even are going after the leads. It's really important to have a good team of wherever you go, and just making sure that you have a solid team. So when you do have a good deal and someone's ready to go, how quickly that person can get out to the house, because that's going to make all the difference in the world. And that lead costs you usually a pretty good amount of money. Also, you know, where you're going to close at. So if what state you're dealing in, you want to make sure that the kind of investor friendly title company that you already have a relationship with, or you're building a relationship with. So you ever seen that that like iceberg, and it shows like, you know, the top,
you can
and
only
everybody
see the
see the peak,
Right.
Yeah.
and then underneath it's just like so much
And at the
foundation,
bottom,
right?
all
Like
the hard
so,
work.
yeah, so much. So you want to focus a lot on that foundation part, and then once you are like, okay, I'm ready to go, then you can start looking at, okay, how am I going to start getting these leads? And one of the fastest ways to do this, actually, that's completely free, is working with an agent. You know, an agent will actually know a lot more about the area. You can do a lot of things with an agent. If they don't end up, you buying the property, right? You can give it to them to list the property. So you have like a 1-2 combination. Also, the agent is going to want to make money. So the more deals that they're able to bring you, right, they're going to be out there hunting for you. So you may even get the agent to start using DealMachine. And then you guys create a team for DealMachine, Anaheim, and now you're in Nebraska. I don't know where you're looking at. And you have a team, and you're both using DealMachine, and you focus on that one that one channel. And now you got a good foundation. You're focusing on one channel, and then you just expand from there. But I would start there.
Something I'd jump in real quick. We actually just put this up on YouTube. I think if Hannah can grab that link. Cory Cesar, I believe, is in San Diego. He's somewhere in California. He's been a DealMachine user for a while, was struggling in California, probably the same scenario, just a super competitive area out here. And he was actually from Milwaukee originally. And he had a friend in Milwaukee start driving for him. And now after a few months of doing that, I think he's got like, I know he's closed 3 deals already. I think he's got a couple more in the pipeline already that are going to close for him. And so to Cory's point, boots on the ground was a big piece of that. Someone to go out there driving for him again, like whether it's getting a list from another source, whether it is just having someone go driving and finding distressed properties, whatever way you get the leads is I mean, we all know there's multiple ways that work. But to Cory's point again, like having people on the ground there and then having someone who can go driving, especially if you're trying to do driving for dollars well, also important. So I would watch that YouTube video because Cody rather is someone that's done that really recently that we just literally dropped a case study with it that David did. I think it dropped like last week.
Very cool. Yeah. Another thing is you can go to your county.
Oh, awesome.
And you can ask for tax lien data, and that's a good list. Typically, just anybody that's behind, they haven't paid their taxes. They're usually haven't paid their mortgage as well, and so there's distress. You start figuring out where distress lives, and you can get good leads. So don't just rely on ListSource or PropStream or these other ones. Like you can go to the county or have someone go to the county for you, and that's going to be like the best source of like the most relevant list that you can have. From there though, if you don't know how to manipulate that list, right, that's where everyone runs into it. You can hire somebody on Fiverr for $5 to manipulate that list 5 ways to Sunday. I mean, there's literally data scientists for $5 that live on Fiverr, right? And so if you can get county list wherever you're focusing. I don't know if you've done this for Anaheim or not, but if you can get the county list, then you can get somebody on Fiverr or somebody go through and start to manipulate this list. This can be a gold mine for you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Would you guys suggest even going to, and I've heard this around, I'm not sure if it works, but just looking up different investing groups on Facebook and just, adding yourself in there, introducing yourself and kind of linking up or even like communicating with them, building a rapport just to gain experience?
I mean, that's never a bad idea. I would focus as much of your efforts as possible on like direct deal generation activities.
Yeah.
I
would view that like when you like need like a 5-minute mental break from like churning for an hour or 2 hours on like really deal producing activities, as David mentioned, maybe jump in for like 5 minutes. Don't let it become a distraction. Like if it helps you like recharge by like networking or talking to those people or just reading those conversations, I think that's fine as like a recharge element. But again, the time spent, your time spent personally hunting down and tracking down deals, infinitely more valuable than that.
Did you say DealMachine? Activities?
I said deal generating activities.
I've heard revenue generating activities.
Deal generating.
I thought you said deal machine generating activities.
I said deal generating, which would include deal machine.
Deal machine. Any
thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you.
No, I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Somebody said, "What do you mean by manipulate the list?"
Yeah, so all of the counties. I'll just use my example for Oklahoma County, and we have about 1.3 to 1.4 million. What's funny?
Oh, sorry. Chris posted a thing that said, "How do I get a list of motivated koalas?" The people you can tell what to do.
That's a psychographic. Yeah. So like on to manipulate the list, what I'm is you can go down the county and then they'll have a bunch of codes for each one of these data points that they have all the information about the owner. And I mean, it's a lot of stuff. And so when you start looking at a lot of these, this whole list, and you can just tell your guy on Fiverr, I want you to sort by just this. And some of these codes can be high weeds, for example, right? They can also be some counties have like, you can get the eviction data. You can get a crazy amount of data. And so you can create these little mini lists within a list. And you don't have to do it. It would take you, if you don't know how to do those things, it would take forever, but you can pay $5 and get it done. That's what I mean by manipulate the list. Thanks.
We are a little bit past the time, but I want to make sure everyone's questions answered.
Thank you.
Somebody said spank you. So if you've got a question you haven't gotten answered yet, go ahead and post it in there, and then we'll get it answered before we sign off. And for Chris Orme's question about getting a list of motivated koalas, I'm not sure you can filter any list by koalas yet.
I think so.
But I think that how do you get a list of motivated sellers? I mean, that's what DealMachine's for. That's what you're looking for distressed properties for.
Yeah.
When you're buying these certain lists, like that's what that's for as well. So,
yeah.
You got anything else to?
I mean, there's lots that have been mentioned on here. You got listability, you got list source, you got some other sources too. Yeah.
The personality thing that Cory mentioned to me just helps you know how to approach that person.
Yeah.
Once you're actually talking with them. Oh, somebody says, how often do you guys do this? We actually do it every week. So please join us next week and you'll get an email about it.
Are we both going to be on here again?
Kong Lee, we could do another one.
Kong. Oh yeah, that'd be great.
If you guys want Cory to come back, give a yes.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Thank you, Alberto. Thank you, Elise.
There's some other question that came in. I can't read it because there's too many yeses. Wade says, it is very competitive here as well. Like most places are saturated with people who watched a few YouTube videos and decided to become cash buyers and not a penny of into their name and certainly don't know buyers. My intent is to do the BRRRR method, which is buy, renovate, refinance, rent, and repeat, to add 100 doors in the next few years. However, these wholesalers are actually putting MLS listed properties. Is this the best way to bypass these hyenas? Wow, this guy is not like wholesalers. I guess if you're trying to do the BRRRR method, Wade, you just have to find a smoking deal. And I don't understand how anyone wholesaling is getting in your way. It's not, I don't get that. Do you? The MLS isn't great usually for finding smoking deals in my experience. I know some people do have strategies to do that, but I think going direct, I'm trying to understand what he's asking.
I think you're going to run into competition everywhere too. I think that it doesn't matter what market you're in. Every single market in the country is competitive to some layer and degree. So in the end, don't let that be an excuse or a concern really, because you're going to run into that no matter where you are. Everyone in the entire country is running into that.
Well, and in Collective Genius, people are very successful in California markets and in all these other places that are really competitive.
Right. And they may have big budgets now, but when they started, they didn't, and they've gotten to the point. It doesn't happen overnight by any means. I think the fact that you're doing BRRRR versus flipping versus wholesaling doesn't really matter. You're still, your core deal acquisition process is going to be the same in terms of marketing, whether that's buying from other wholesalers, buying, basically buying from wholesalers, buying on MLS, or doing your own direct to seller marketing. I don't think and in the end, if your goal is to get the deals, you have to figure out how to make better offers than wholesalers. It sounds like it's the biggest challenge. And so focus on how to making a better offer to the seller, whether that's listening better and understanding what their motivations are and being better at rapport building, figuring out can you offer more than them potentially.
I think it's a mindset thing too. You may want to clarify, Wade, but there's two answers that are way I'm wanting to answer your question is, one, your mindset can't be that wholesalers are your competition. It's co-opetition. They can bring you deals and they can bring you really great deals, but you have to build that relationship. If your mindset, if they're hyenas or they're negative, there's a stigma, there's something negative about it, then you're already walking into that with the potential of not getting a deal from them, right? So you're looking for reasons why they are not good. So change your mindset. The first thing. The other thing is just because they're listed doesn't mean that they're still not a great deal as well. So just because they've got it under contract, they send it out, you can still find great deals. Last time I checked, you don't have to take the first offer. You make your offer. And so if it fits your cash buy criteria, Wade, then that's going to fit your cash buy criteria. And the last thing is, if you don't want to work with wholesalers, then you go direct to these owners, and you can do that by using DealMachine, and you can use it PropStream and ListSource, and you can start doing mailers, or you can go direct to these owners and not have to work with other wholesalers if that's not what you so choose. I think that you're shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. But so there's a few things.
Yeah, like David said earlier, and Cory just said a second ago, we're at a mastermind of extremely successful real estate investors all across the country, and I don't think anyone here would have had the attitude of saying like wholesalers are hyenas. And so
he did clarify he has no issues with wholesalers.
Okay,
I just thought it was funny the way it was.
Mindset's really big. One question I saw that how do you best negotiate with sellers that won't budge on price? Again, to what I said earlier, I think to a degree, if they're not budging on price and it's not a price that you can work with from a wholesale deal, one is they're probably not motivated. If they want retail, just literally tell them go list it on retail. Like your goal is not to get properties that should be or are ready to be listed on the market at a fair high market price. Your goal is to find properties in situations that you can actually help. So that's one thing I would say. Two, I would also look at if they are saying, hey, I need to sell in the next month and they're not negotiating on price, figure out other exit strategies. If you're a beginner, looking at other exit strategies does add complications to the process, like looking at them having an owner finance scenario or something like that. So I don't want to make it too complicated, but those are your two things. Either the non-motivated seller, or maybe you can look at a different type of a transaction than just a straight wholesale deal to get that under contract. Or three, walk out the door and see if they call you.
Yeah,
because that's really your options.
I love what Alberto said. He said we're deal finders, not deal makers. A lot of people find a house and they're like, oh, that's so run down. That guy should definitely sell it to me. And he doesn't want to sell it. And then you get hung up and frustrated on that and you try to convince him to sell. But if you just spent your time finding a bunch more rundown houses, one of those owners is likely going to want to sell at a really great price and it'll be so smooth. So don't try to convince people to do things they don't want to do. Build up your numbers so you can find someone who does want to sell.
We say in Oklahoma, don't try to get blood out of a turnip.
Oh, I had to think about that for a second. Makes sense. There's not much blood in a turnip.
Right.
So don't bother squeezing it.
That's right.
I think that's a good thing to end on.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm looking to see. Ronaldo, I think I'm pronouncing your name right, said his county charges him 25 cents a lead for that list you were talking about.
25 cents or $25?
Maybe $25.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah, for tax delinquent.
It's cheap.
So he was saying, is there any benefit to getting it from there versus in a software product?
Well, for that price, that's pretty inexpensive. And
so
I would just do it,
it's most up to
date. And probably get on Fiverr or whoever and just match it up and see if there's someone there that is duplicate or not.
Okay.
Dennis, 2 questions or 1 question?
He's answering his own question.
Oh,
I think. He says, how do you negotiate with a seller who won't budge on price? 1, present rehab numbers, or 2, other?
That's the question I was trying to respond to earlier when I was saying when the seller wouldn't budge on price.
Yeah.
We were saying either walk from it, figure out a different exit strategy than and to give you a brief, I'm not the expert here, so Cory might be able to add something to this. But for example, as a wholesaler, you're saying, okay, I just need to get the price really low. You've probably been told the 70% rule, 70% minus rehab costs minus your wholesale fee is how you calculate what you can offer on the property. Now, if there's a property that's in better condition than that, or if they're not willing to go that low for you to get it under contract with using that formula, maybe you can offer $20,000 more on the property if they're willing to play the role of the bank on the property, essentially. It's where instead of having to give them all cash at closing, you could say, I'm going to pay you $500 a month for the next 10 years for the property, or whatever the numbers work out to. And then their price on the property is higher, which might make them feel like they're winning because they got the number that they want, even though you're paying that over time. And to clarify too, that's still a contract you can wholesale. Someone will still be interested in purchasing a house on terms that they can then leverage as a rental or still a flip or something like that, because they're not having to bring as much cash to the table to close in the deal. Again, I'm not the expert there. If you want to look at other ways to acquire properties outside of just a straight cash deal, there are better resources out there.
That's great.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions. I think we got them all answered. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for an hour plus. And thank you guys for signing on. We actually put Cory's Instagram.
Thank you.
You have a lot of Instagrams.
Yeah.
How many? There's 4
There's a
Instagrams
few.
here.
Yeah.
Which one would you suggest?
The real estate investing profits.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks, Dennis. Oh, we got a bunch of thumbs up and a flying pig. And what is that?
Beers.
Oh,
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to the beers. We're cheersing with hot water over here.
Oh, yeah.
We all have
Hey,
hot,
we'll cheers with you. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And gals.
Oh, there's another question.
Oh,
Let's do this and
Okay.
we'll answer this question and then let's
Okay.
sign off.
What would you recommend investing in after getting your first deal? I'm thinking of hiring a cold caller. Man, I'd do a few more deals before you invest in a person.
yeah. Start getting some consistency to your game for sure.
I wouldn't bring other people. Yeah, once a month, get a deal a month, and then start looking at scale.
The very best thing that I wish someone would have told me in the beginning is it isn't like you get a deal and then I did it and then like, okay, now I go use that money and now I go find another deal. It's
You only did it once, like do it again.
I wish someone would have told me like when you get a deal, take 20% of that minimum to put towards marketing and just make no matter what, no matter it's 50 leads or 100 postcards or 50 postcards or 10,000 postcards, send out postcards every single week. Every week, you know, and have a consistency of marketing, you know, have that phone ring consistently instead of just getting the deal and going spend the money.
Okay, and then Simone, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Simone.
We're so bad at signing off.
Elise answered it for you. Thank you, Elise.
Elise Snack.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Cool. We did it.
We did it.
Thanks,
Cheers
guys.
again.
Yeah, cheers again.
Cheers again.
Hope you guys have a great rest of the night.
See you guys.
Oh, there's one more question. Just kidding.